Before we get into our breakdown of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 7, I just wanted to remind everybody with all the news that came out yesterday of all of the Star Wars films that are going to be released in next coming years, with all the excitement, we're going to be doing our podcast, Star Force 66 Radio, talking about all of that, and I believe it's going to either be releasing on Monday afternoon or Tuesday afternoon, and I believe we're going to be doing it on Tuesday afternoon. And so if you want to hear more about the series, I'm going to also make separate videos. Be pretty short, but the podcast is a longer thing that I like to do. So now, once again, there will be spoilers if you're yet to seen this, if you're yet to seen episode 7. And without further ado, here we go. Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 7. Now, I was actually expecting for them to take a while to try and get a Mayfield, but it literally immediately started with him working on this prison thing, and they had a lot of comedy in this episode, and that's one of the main reasons I enjoyed this one a lot. It wasn't my favorite, I would have to admit, but it did have a lot of fun stuff in it that made me enjoy it. Now, Mayfield at the beginning, he saw Boba Fett and he was like, okay, good, I thought you were this other guy for a second, a comedian. He is a comedian in real life, I believe his name is Bill Burr, actually, and yeah, a very famous comedian. And he's also a good actor too, and we see him talking about, he told Boba Fett, I thought you were this other guy. Then all of a sudden we see Mando walking up, and then it's pretty funny how he says, oh great, not you again, what do you want? And he tells him why he needs to find Moff Gideon, and he's like, oh, Moff Gideon, well I ain't gonna do that. But then I believe they go to this planet, which was Morak. And so once they got there, one of my favorite scenes was they were trying to debate who should go inside and try to find the Imperial information to, locate Moff Gideon's ship. And so at first it was going to be, I believe, Cara Dune said she couldn't because they would recognize her, of course. Mayfield wanted to go because, he was Imperial, he knows a lot about Imperial and all of that, but my guess is that the Mandalorian still doesn't trust him because, what we've seen, what happened with him in episode 6, of him being a bad guy. And then he asked Boba Fett, and then he said, let's just say they'll recognize my face, which is probably my favorite part of this entire thing, one of my favorite parts for sure, because him being a clone, a reference to the clones, and it would be actually really funny if Boba Fett had actually gone and he takes off his helmet. Alrighty, so it seemed a little long here of, just Mayfield talking about why doesn't the Mandalorian take off his helmet and all of that, while they're just like disguising themselves as these type of stormtroopers, I believe, on this tank that they're trying to bring in, so they could secretly get into where the Empire is. And it's kind of once they get near the end, there's pirates that are attacking them, and Mando's, he's done all he could, and then at the very end, the Empire, it actually comes and saves them because they're thinking that they are part of the Empire. And it's really cool how we see the TIE fighters come in, and stormtroopers come in to save them from the pirates, and then they all share for him once they get inside. And then we see Mayfield wants to go in to this place to try to find out, Moff Gideon's ship. He has to go over there, but then while he's walking over there, he recognizes one of the people over there was actually his person who was above him and was the leader when he was in the Empire, and I believe he didn't leave a good name for himself, and he said he could recognize him. So then Djarin hesitated. He's like, fine, I'll go. And then Mayfield told him that in order for you to access it, it needs to scan your face. And so now I believe he tried doing it he tried scanning his face without his helmet, because the people were left to the right of him, of course, with the Imperial officers. And what happened? He actually took his helmet off to scan his face, and not only did he take it off and not put it right back on, he left it off. Wow. The Imperial officer went over there and talked to him, as well as Mayfield saw his real face, and it was a whole like 5 minutes of him without his helmet talking about the Empire. We got a lot of it historic references, making separate videos on. This is just my immediate breakdown, of what I thought of this episode. And talks about a really interesting thing. What Palpatine started right after Revenge of the Sith, this war that Mayfield actually fought in. That I will also possibly make a separate video of this. And it was really cool seeing how he did an amazing job, Pedro Pascal, of acting this part of just for the first time ever, in a very long time, someone seeing your face, and he didn't know how to answer any of his questions, and he was just immediately like, whoa. And imagine if you were in that scenario and you haven't shown your face in like years, and you have like 1 second to do, and like you see this random person talking to you and sitting at the table. And so what happens is that Mayfield, he talks a lot about his history. We learn more about him, and they try to escape at the end. And what happens is that Boba Fett comes in with the Slave One to rescue them just in time, and then Mayfield blows it up. And because of him blowing that place off, but Cara Dune said that Mayfield, or that prisoner, has died back there. And he's referencing like to a new person, kind of like what I think she's referencing to is Anakin Skywalker, and how he turned to Darth Vader, turning bad. Now Mayfield was bad, and now he's turning good. So how this episode ended, it ended with, in last season, I believe episode 7, we see Grand Moff Gideon telling Mando that, that famous speech about how he really needs Grogu. It means more to me than you ever imagined. Well, Din Djarin said that exact same thing, word for word, to Moff Gideon. And it was really cool how, Grand Moff Gideon said it, and now the Mandalorian saying it. So I'm thinking that, I don't know if they'll get it back to the season, but my prediction for next episode, I'm hoping it'll end with a Jedi saving the day at the very end, or at least us getting a glimpse of a Jedi, perhaps, because, I really want to see it. A Jedi we have not seen yet this season, so it can't really be Ahsoka, because, we're going to get her own series, but I can't wait to find out. I can't believe there's only one episode. It's going by really quickly, but I really enjoyed this one. It was another short one, so I'm hoping it'll be at least an hour, the last one, but what's more realistic is it'll be about 45-50 minutes. But they can pack a lot of things in that time length, but you never know. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and may the Force be with you always.